Welcome to the Terrible Podcast with your hosts from SteelersDepot.com, where you can find all your latest and greatest Steelers news. It's Dave Bryan and Alex Kozora, always lit, talking Steelers. And now, here's Dave and Alex.
Welcome to the Terrible Podcast, Season 9, Episode 103. He's Dave Bryan. I'm Alex Kozora, SteelersDepot.com. And Steelers Nation, we have a birthday boy today. Dave's turning the big, 22?
Yeah. I wish about the almost the 30th anniversary of me turning 22. Actually, the 29th anniversary of me turning 22. So the big 51 today. So odds were probably against me making that number. So congratulations to me. Mm-hmm. And also, if you want another reason to hate me, I share a birthday with Bill Belichick. So there you go. A little bit of trivia for you.
Well, we're glad you made it, Dave. We're glad to have you as the leader of the site. And I think Steelers Depot, I'm checking this right now, is right around its birthday, too. I'm going to double-check that real quick.
Yeah, it's coming up on, let's see, I guess 2009. It would be lower. Was it 2009 or was it
2008?
Yeah, so
now you're really getting old.
Yeah,
Dave.
like 11th year anniversary of the kind of the official, I think, starting of the site and all. So yeah,
the 21st will be its birthday.
How far this site's come? Not bad for according to Twitter, a couple of dumbasses that work for this site. So not too terribly bad to be probably the industry leader in Steelers blogs with a bunch of dumbasses running it.
Yeah, that's our slogan, right? I think
absolutely. Yeah.
All right, Dave, let's get into it here. I think the biggest news that just came across that has some indirect effect on the Steelers and more particularly Ben Roethlisberger is Russell Wilson agreeing to terms with the Seattle Seahawks. Yesterday was the self-imposed deadline that Wilson had set to get a deal done with the team. You've probably seen the contract details more and more in depth than I have, so tell us a little bit about the Russell Wilson deal and how that will ultimately affect Big Ben.
Yeah, and we don't know the full numbers yet, the full layout, but the initial reports say the Seahawks reached an agreement on a 4-year, $140 million in new money extension that includes $65 million signing bonus initially. That's what Adam Schefter reported. With the new 4 years added to the contract, Russell Wilson is now contractually tied to the Seahawks through 2023, through 2023, and is now the NFL's highest paid player with according to those numbers there. So we'll have to wait and see. Let's see. I don't know if we've seen anything else as far as a breakdown on that, but obviously, the big thing and one of the things that I wrote about earlier in the offseason here was, especially with that $5 million roster bonus being due Ben Roethlisberger there a few days after the start of the new league year was, okay, perfect time to get him wrapped up in that, his last contract, what will probably be his last contract done. That way you also beat the rush to the altar, if you will, because you knew guys like Russell Wilson and the other one out there, Phillip Rivers, are going to have their hands out this offseason as well. You already had Aaron Rodgers, leading the way as the league's highest paid quarterback, followed not too terribly far behind by Matt Ryan. Then you had the whole, the Kirk Cousins thing in there. Now with Russell getting his money first here, you got a new leader in the clubhouse, so to speak. It'll be interesting now to see, who's next. Is Phillip Rivers going to be the next one to get things done, and where is he going to end up in the pecking order? There's obviously probably no real rush, or at least that's what we're led to believe right now with Ben Roethlisberger. But the longer you wait and the more these other people get paid, you have to think that number. Look, they couldn't work out a deal with Ben Roethlisberger before now, so there's obviously some disagreement as far as the numbers involved with that. What's going to happen to those numbers now that you have Russell Wilson as the league's highest paid quarterback, and probably not too far behind that you have Phillip Rivers. So, will Ben Roethlisberger get a deal done at all? I talked about a year, I guess about the same time last year, moving forward about, are we going to have a situation here with Ben where where you don't get a deal done in 2019, and then you end up having to use a series of franchise tags on him. And I'm not so sure that right now at this point that's not the way that this ultimately ends up.
Nah, I still think they'll get it done. I think, yes, that Ben probably wanted to wait and see these other deals kind of lay out, and maybe that'll give him an advantage and make sure he's not, all automatically going down the ladder as soon as he signs a contract. But I think, if anything, it helps create clarity to the situation. Now that you know what the top guys are getting, that'll make an easier starting point for Ben. It'll make it easier for the Steelers to know what Ben wants, and it'll create that framework to go from. So I'm still fairly confident that a deal will get done before camp, and we're not going to go down this tag road that you've been suggesting.
Well, I mean, at this point, there's no way Ben settles for less than $30 million average in new money, right?
I defer to you on this, but yeah, I assume that's true.
I mean, that was probably going to be the case anyway. People say, well, Ben should just take a discount. And look, I've always sided more with the players when it comes to getting their money. The term of hometown discount and give the team some console make some concessions here and there. Look, this is America. You got to get it when you can get it.
Yeah.
And I realize Ben has done quite well for himself, but it's rare that you see any player kind of take less than market value, if you will, and really I don't expect Ben to, and it'll be interesting to see where he comes in the pecking order in all this. I mean, would you look? Russell Wilson's a fine quarterback, but where do you rank him with Ben Roethlisberger?
Yeah, that's a really good question. There was a debate on my Twitter timeline about that last night. If you put Russell Wilson ahead of Ben, I wouldn't yell at you. If you put Ben ahead of Russell Wilson, I wouldn't yell at you. I probably don't watch enough Seattle in depth to make an accurate assessment.
Yeah, but they're close, right? So I mean,
yeah, they're close. Yeah, like I said, you can go either one.
And they're going to end up being close in money now too. I have a feeling, yep. But like I said, I wish, and it'd be interesting to see the full numbers of this deal, which I'm guessing probably by the end of the week we'll have them the full layout of this contract and can go over it in more in depth and all like that. But my biggest want this offseason was if they were going to get Ben Roethlisberger done, to get him done before these other guys got theirs. And now that Russell Wilson has his, it's going to probably, and I'll probably write about this a little bit later today or tomorrow, but it's going to probably make it negotiations a little bit more difficult, than they already are at this point when it comes to Roethlisberger.
Yeah, in a sense, but I assume that's why a deal hadn't gotten done already, because Ben was probably, and his agent knew, let's wait this thing out. We're not in a super rush to get this deal done. Let's let the other contracts come in, and so we can either top them or be around them and have that best framework. So, again, I think it'll get done before the season starts. All right, Dave, let's move on now to the draft with it coming up. Man, what is this, a week and a half away to the draft? I mean, it just comes up so fast. It feels like every single year. And the Steelers are basically done with their pre-draft visits. I think either today or tomorrow is the deadline to bring in guys anyway, so they're going to be done no matter what. But we're up to 29 of the 30 that have been reported, and I think 28 of those have been made official by the team. So that's pretty rare. You look in the past years, usually we're about 23 to 25 known, so we really have a good gauge of this thing this year. And a couple new names that came in. Yesterday they brought in two inside linebacker Quincy Williams from Murray State and running back Ty Johnson from Maryland. In other recent days, I'm trying to look at the list of guys they brought in. Deontay Johnson from Toledo. I don't know if we talked about him or not. Who am I missing on this list? That might be the list. Am I missing anyone, Dave?
Who did we have on in the other day? We already talked about White out of Florida Atlantic. The wide receiver. Was he the only one that came in on that last visit? I think he was
the only one that came in. Yeah, Deontay Johnson from Toledo. Yeah, so I think those are the three. Johnson, Williams, Quincy Williams, and Ty Johnson are the last three.
And Deontay Johnson, he's an interesting subject, isn't he?
He is. He's got, the Toledo has three really strong receivers, and Darrell Drake was at their pro day, and now they're bringing him in. This guy that's got return value as well, so as a potential double dip, late day 3 candidate, I think he makes sense.
And I posted, what was it, last night? I'm trying to look and see where I had that chart at last night at wide receivers and explosive plays in college. And when we talk about explosive plays, I'm talking about first receptions that resulted in gains of 15 yards or more, and then second receptions that resulted in gains of 25 yards or more. And you go down, you start going down this list, and Deontay Johnson is in, I think I put 29, either 29 or 30 of the top wide receivers in this year's class on this list that you can find on my Twitter feed, all nice and laid out in the chart here for you. But Deontay Johnson at Toledo had 135 total receptions during his college career there. 25 of those resulted in gains of 25 yards or more, which is 18.5%, and he had 55 receptions that resulted in gains of 15 yards or more for 40.7%. Now, I sorted this list of 29 or 30 names by percentage of catches that resulted in 25 yards or more gains. And Emmanuel Hall out of Missouri, would that have surprised you if I would have told you that he led the list in gains of or highest percentage of catches that resulted in 25 plus yards?
Not at all. He's a burner. That dude's got speed for days. So no surprise.
He had 97 catches during his career at Missouri. 30 of those, 30.9%, resulted in gains of 25 yards or more. 45 of his catches, so roughly, I guess, it had been 15 more, resulted in gains of 15 yards or more. So you're right. I mean, this guy, when he caught the ball, it was probably – now, I obviously don't have air yard distance and where these guys caught the football at, but I think the tape shows that probably a lot of these catches that Hall had during his college career were way down the field, correct?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yep, burner, straight go guy.
Darius Slayton, another deep ball threat out of Auburn, is second. I was curious where, and look, it was no surprise that Marquise Brown was going to be up on this list as far as the 25-plus yard plays. But, not only did he have a lot of catches down the field, but he was tremendous, taking shorter throws and additional yardage after the catch there. I was curious to see where my boy David Seals V came in at. And of his 132 catches that he had at West Virginia, 25 of those for a nice, almost a near 19% of his catches resulted in gains of 25 yards or more. Now he was, keep in mind that he was used quite a bit as an ex-receiver, but did run his share of deep routes there, and also nearly 19% of his catches resulted in gains of 25 yards or more in total. That was 25 catches. He had another 23 catches that gained more than 15 or more yards for a grand total of 36.4% of all of his catches resulted in gains of 15-plus yards. Another guy I was interested to find out where he came in on the list was really a guy that both of us have talked quite a bit about. We think, look, if the Steelers get a wide receiver, maybe round 3, 4, or 5, it's probably going to be David Seals or Miles Boykin out of Notre Dame is the guy that you keep going back to. Of his 77 catches, and I found this a bit surprising, maybe you didn't, 77 catches that he had, only 11 of them, which you say only 11, 14.3%, resulted in gains of 25 yards or more. Now, he did have a higher number than Seals, a higher percentage of receptions that resulted in gains of 15 yards or more. In fact, that number for Boykin is he had 36 such receptions, so damn near half of his catches resulted in gains of 15 yards or more for 46.8% number specifically. But when you look down the list of these wide receivers that I have and you rank them by percentage of gains of 25 yards or more, Boykin on down kind of closer to the bottom, as is another guy I think the Steelers have a little bit of interest in, Dylan Mitchell out of Oregon.
With Boykin, I imagine if the quarterback play was better, he'd have some better numbers, 25-plus yards. Maybe his route tree was a little bit more varied. I thought they actually used him on more than just vertical concepts than you see with some of these college receivers. So, playing in the less spread and less wide open offense compared to West Virginia, maybe that had something to do with it. But yeah, I thought the number would have come in a little bit higher.
All right, probably not a huge surprise here, but Hakeem Butler, 27.3% of his catches were 25 yards or more. DK Metcalf, you realize DK Metcalf's going to be an interesting study, is he not?
For sure.
Because of that speed and all. 67 total receptions at Ole Miss, right?
Is that it?
17 of those, 25%, a little over 25% of them resulted in gains of 25 yards or more. You talk about guys and not a huge sample size of wide receivers coming out of college. Metcalf certainly fits that bill. Now his companion there at Ole Miss and A.J. Brown, you got a real good idea what kind of receiver you're getting with him. 189 catches he had, 19% of those gained 25 yards or more, and 36.5% of his catches resulted in gains of 15 yards or more there. So another guy right in the middle of the list, Stanley Morgan Jr., a guy that both of us have talked about that kind of fits the profile of what we think the Steelers are looking for this year. In Harry out of Arizona State, a little bit lower on the list than what I would have imagined. However, he is more of an X-wide receiver anyway. 13.6% of his 213 catches resulted in gains of 25 yards or more, while 38.5% of his catches resulted in gains of 15 yards or more.
Yeah, Harry's a guy they showed interest in. If he somehow slipped to 52, I think he'd be strongly a possibility. But I don't know if he's going to get that far. We kind of talked about that with Dave T on Friday. All right, let's move on now to the other two visit guys, talk about them. Do you know anything about the Murray State kid, Quincy Williams? I haven't learned anything about him yet.
No, just from his highlight tape, he kind of plays like a safety, if you will, down low. In the box, hits like a safety. Going to probably be an undrafted guy. Maybe he's a guy. I just can't see the Steelers drafting him, when they'd probably have to draft him, which would be later in the draft. I would think that they'd already have an inside linebacker on board. I really expect him to be an undrafted free agent this year.
Did test well, I know that. I think he had like a 39-inch vertical, so that's impressive for the position. And then Ty Johnson's a really interesting name, too, a guy that, speaking of testing well, tested as well as really anybody, 212 pounds, ran low 4.4s, had production at Maryland, just didn't get a lot of playing time. And there was a little bit of injury, rotation. Maryland's offense wasn't very good, but an interesting, day three guy that I'm sure somebody's going to compare him to Alvin Kamara and saying that this guy's going to have a better pro career than he did in college.
This is a kid, too, that did a little bit of returns, right?
Yeah, I think he has a little bit on his resume. Just, a guy I watched one game of last night. I'm going to kind of finish the report on him today. But, really bulked up. I think he came to Maryland at 173 pounds, and he leaves here at 212. So a guy that really put on a lot of weight, has a good body, shows some speed, definitely has some home run ability. But the question is there more than just pure speed?
Well, he definitely, when you talk about a running back coming out of the Big Ten such as him, and you look, and another thing that I compiled was explosive rushes. One of these days I want to get around the correlation to, explosive runs and explosive catches to NFL level there. I'm sure some studies similar to that have been done before. Look, I remember writing about James Conner a few years ago about his explosive play capability, not only as a runner but as a pass catcher as well. And we've already seen that at the NFL level with him, with the amount of plays of 20 yards or more, especially last season. We saw it quite a bit. What did he have? Something like in the first half of the season before he got injured, something like 10 or 12 gains of 20 yards or more, and the Le'Veon Bell never sniffed those kind of explosive play numbers during a full season in Pittsburgh here. So just interesting to see what the correlation is. Two guys that lead the list when it comes to running backs are both guys that you think the Steelers might have some level of interest in. Darrell Henderson out of Memphis. We recently talked about offensive coordinator Randy Fichtner, of course, coming out of having strong ties to the University of Memphis, was back at that pro day. I've been kind of hard and heavy on the other running back that's there, Tony Pollard, kind of the part-time jack of all trade guys. But Darrell Henderson, man, 431 total rushes for Darrell Henderson at Memphis. 47 of those carries were 20 yards or more gains. Alex, 10.9%. He leads the list of percentage of carries, college carries, that resulted in gains of 20 yards or more. He had 107, almost 25% of his carries resulted in gains of 10 yards or more. And in second place on the list, and this is another list, 29, 30 names that I have running backs on here, Ty Johnson out of Maryland had 348 total carries. 34 of those, almost 10%, resulted in gains of 20 yards or more, and he had 66 carries, right at 19%, that resulted in 10 yards or more. So definitely, when you talk about a home run threat, Ty Johnson and Darrell Henderson both definitely meet that criteria.
They do, but certainly will be two very different draft spots. Henderson probably a top 75 guy at worst, and Johnson, I think Johnson could get drafted, but you're talking 7th round probably with him, potentially even to being into that priority free agent. So just to look at the list as a whole for the pre-draft visitors, I compiled the number of pre-draft visits by position, and they look like this. Running back and quarterback are tied with 6 each, plus running back has 1 local and Miles Sanders. Inside linebacker has 5 total, including 1 local, that's David Long Jr. Receiver has 4, tight end 3, safety 3, including 1 local, outside linebacker 2, then the O-line, D-line has 1 apiece. So you see your running back top that list, and that is certainly surprising looking at this thing from where I thought it would have been, when we started the pre-draft process.
Yeah, I would have never imagined it went that way. Would have gone that heavy, and now, you go from, I think, my first mock draft, I talked about how I begrudgingly put a running back in there at the end. You're probably going to have to put one around round 4, round 5 by the time the final one gets around here, because it sure looks like they're headed that way. And you would think, too, that one of these running backs would have some special teams capability, right?
Sure, and the guys on the list generally do. Ty Johnson, Kerrith White Jr. are return guys. Travis Homer ran down kicks at Miami, I think, early in his career. Now, I'm not too sure about Sanders and Harris and Scarlett. I don't think those guys have anything extensive. But, that number 3 back, he's got to do a little bit of special teams, but he's generally not going to be a core guy. He could be, but if he's not, it's fine. Jalen Samuels in the past, Trey Edmonds had a very limited impact on special teams last year. So, if they can return, that's great. If they can kind of be a backup, that's fine. It's not the end of the world, though, if they aren't this dominant special teams player. And
I think the more that you're digging into, especially these running backs, you're finding that the Steelers' new running backs coach Faulkner definitely has some links to some of these running backs, recruited them.
Yeah, the biggest name I'd point to of the pre-draft visits of the running backs that are draft eligible in terms of the relationship with Eddie Faulkner is Mike Weber from Ohio State. Now, we don't know this for a fact, but you can go to Mike Weber's Rivals profile when he came out of high school, and obviously he committed to Ohio State, but NC State recruited him. Now, I don't know 100% sure if it was Faulkner. They had another guy that was the recruiting coordinator that did a lot of this stuff, so I can't say with 100% certainty that Eddie Faulkner recruited him, but I think that's certainly possible given the position, and that, Faulkner was one of the big recruiting guys at NC State. And it's just funny, you talk about the connections, and you hear Eddie Faulkner talk about, one reason why he was drawn to Pittsburgh and the Pittsburgh ties is that he said, 20-some years ago that Randy Fichtner recruited him out of high school, and when Fichtner was the recruiting coordinator at Purdue. And so you just hear about those connections, and it kind of stuck in my mind and made me want to do some research. So a guy like Mike Weber, with the relationship that Faulkner had with him at some point, potentially a couple years ago, maybe it fits. I'm not saying it's the say all end all. I'm just saying it's a little extra bonus is why they might go him.
If you had to call your shot right now as far as one of the running backs, though, I think you have kind of developed yourself a leader in the clubhouse, right?
I have with Benny Snell. Benny Snell, Pittsburgh Steeler. I think that's a strong possibility. We're saying that sentence in about less than 2 weeks now. And I wrote about the article the other day, really yesterday, I think, for Steelers Depot. And he checks all those boxes. Now, he didn't fit our what they look for study to a T, but he was super close in basically every category that he missed. I think he missed the 40 time by 100th of a second. He missed the weight by a pound, the vert by 1.5 inches. So there aren't many really big backs in this class, guys that are 220 plus. But Snell is one of them at 224. And I still think, and I didn't do the deepest dive into this, but I think production and find the end zone and guys that just have really strong college careers matters to at least the running back position to the Pittsburgh Steelers. You look at Bell and Connor and even guys that weren't the best players in Dwyer and Mendenhall, and look at what Jalen Samuels did last year. They all found the end zone. They all had high amounts of production at the time that they were the starters. And Benny Snell has some of the best production that you're going to find in this entire draft class. 48 career rushing touchdowns. That's third in SEC history in only 3 years. This is a guy that turned around that Kentucky program. They met with him at his pro day. We confirmed that. We knew that they were there with Eddie Faulkner, the running backs coach, but we know that they met with Benny Snell as well. High character, football bloodlines. His great uncle Matt Snell was the running back for the Jets in Super Bowl III to beat the Colts. His dad was played for the Ravens, briefly played in NFL Europe. So you're looking round 4, round 5. If they haven't drafted a running back already, then I think Benny Snell becomes a serious candidate.
Not a huge big play guy, at least on the ground with Kentucky. 737 total, I think, carries at Kentucky. Only 30 of those resulted in gains of 20 yards or more for 4.1%. 104 of his carries, right at 14.1%, resulted in gains of 10 yards or more. So probably more of a plotter, right?
Yeah, he's not a big dynamic guy, and I'm not saying that I personally would draft Benny Snell or a big guy. I kind of prefer more of a change of pace, different element kind of dude. I'd love to get a Justice Hill from Oklahoma State, for example, but based on how they draft and what they look for, yeah, I think Snell, they like their backs big, they like him to be powerful, and I think Snell fits both of those qualities.
And if you look at L.J. Scott and you look at the chart that I did on him and Benny Snell are right there kind of together, as far as explosiveness or really lack thereof. Not that obviously that's not the end-all, do-all, but when you look at a guy, though, like, one guy who we know wasn't explosive in college was Elijah Holyfield, but especially when it came to big plays. In fact, Elijah Holyfield still had a 4.7% 20-yard gain rate, which is higher than both the Benny Snell and L.J. Scott for their careers, and a little bit more surprising, too, was the fact that Elijah Holyfield had 40 of his 15 carries, 18.6%, resulted in gains in 10 yards or more. So, I guess Elijah Holyfield is the kind of guy is if you need 10 yards, I'll get you 10. If you need 3 yards, I'll get you 10. I don't know. I don't know how
the problem is that 4.7% is better than his 40 time, which I think is for Holyfield. He ran like 4.72.
That's true. Probably need to look more at the 10-yard split with him, right? Dun-dun-dun.
Hey,
because he's probably not going to be running 40 yards down the field. All right, when you look at, though, look, I mean, you have what the Steelers kind of like profile and all. I mean, what are they more? What do you think they're? Do you think? I guess what kind of back do you kind of see them going with? I mean, could a Darrell Henderson more of a change of pace guy, I guess, be more in play? A Ty Johnson be more in play than someone that fits their traditional, 215 to 225 pounds?
Well, honestly, that's what I would prefer. I prefer to have a different mold. I think it's obviously redundant to have a backfield of Connor, Samuels, and another big guy. Let's just call him Benny Snell for the moment. But history says they're going with the big guy. Samuels, 225 pounds. Connor, 233. Bell, 230. Dwyer 229, Mendenhall 225. I mean, when they go with true running backs, not counting the Archers and Rainey's of the world, they generally go with guys that are generally above average in height and definitely above average in weight. So I'm gonna stay the course and say they're going with a big guy again.
Yeah, I would like to see them go a little bit, more change of back pace.
I would too. Give me Justice Hill. Give me Justice Hill in the fourth.
Yeah, I mean Darrell Henderson. Him and Ty Johnson in the brief film study I've done, both those are both exciting guys. Travis Homer is another one. That how far was he from missing the numbers?
He missed, I think, in just weight, but he was far. He's like 201, so he's pretty far cry from the 225 requirement.
And wasn't Alec Barnes right there in the wheelhouse? Wasn't he the only one?
Yeah, Barnes was the only one that hit every single box, and I think he fits it as a bigger guy that's athletic, has bloodlines too. I think his dad was a running back in college, but they haven't shown any obvious interest in Alex Barnes yet.
Right, and boy, you want to talk about he's got some explosiveness to him too. 28 of his 458 carries resulted in gains of 20 yards or more, and he also had 17% rate of gains of 10 yards or more. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, you make a great point for Benny Snell Jr. possibly being the guy. Kevin Colbert being at the Michigan State Pro Day, I don't think can be ignored when it comes to L.J. Scott late. And then you look at the other list of running backs that they brought in so far. I mean, take a dart and just throw it, I guess.
Right, and the reason why I've talked about Snell and Scott is that obviously you have a list of pre-draft visitors, and that's really important. But we know that even on the high end of things, they only drafted one pre-draft visitor last year. That was Marcus Allen. I think he was considered a local guy. They only generally draft 3 to 4 pre-draft visitors, and that's just odds.
At most.
Yeah, at most. I mean, that's, you take a position, you're not going to take, the same guy from that position if you bring 7 of them in. But still, that the bulk of this list are going to be guys that probably don't have the most super obvious ties. They're not all going to be pre-draft visitors. You put 7 pre-draft visitors on your mock draft. I mean, yeah, it makes sense, but ultimately it's probably not going to hit because it just doesn't cut that cleanly. So you have to look at guys that they've shown interest in, they've gone to pro days with, guys that fit, but not necessarily guys that they're screaming saying, yes, we're bringing in this guy and we have clear interest in him. So that's why I talk about Snell, because they had Faulkner at his pro day. He fits. That's why I talk about L.J. Scott. He fits, but they could take a running back higher. I mean, I do not discount them taking someone like Miles Sanders or Damian Harris at, say, pick 66.
Wow.
I don't discount it. I mean, I'm not saying it's the most likely thing, but when they're bringing in all these running backs, we know the correlation between, pre-draft visitors by position and how high they take the position. It's generally pretty high. It's possible. I don't rule it out one bit.
Another thing too that we don't talk about enough when it comes to pre-draft visitors is, they just, a lot of these kids, they want to find out more about. For potentially down the line, because there's a strong correlation, and we saw it again this year, right, with Steven Nelson and Dante Moncrief, of guys that they've had interest in that come around, 4 or 5 years down the line of free agency, they tend to go after here. So these are guys, most of these guys on this pre-draft list are guys that they like and plain out like, and the other guys are guys that they'd like enough to bring in to want to learn more about for potentially down the line, because obviously they know that they're not going to be able to draft everybody off their list. Mm-hmm. But these lists are good to not only help in putting your mock draft together, but I think 4 or 5 years from now, I'm trying to build a free agent target list as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just to learn about them as a character, because you don't get to talk to these guys all the time, and then to learn about any character or medical issues, too, are really important for these pre-draft visits.
All right.
Let's go. Where do we want to go from here? So we were talking about a little bit about the cornerback position, I think, and I did my study today of kind of what they look for. So speaking of the study we did for running backs, we can kind of transition to the cornerbacks. And again, I know the history of the cornerbacks isn't good. That's not the point of this. The point of this article and these series isn't to look at who's the top talent, but just to look at what are the benchmarks and the thresholds for the position, 40 time, height, weight, all that kind of stuff. And got 5 names that fit the list and check every single box at cornerback, and I'll read them off here quickly we can discuss, Dave. They're Corey Ballantyne from Washburn, Isaiah Johnson from Houston, Julian Love from Notre Dame, Amani Aworiye from Penn State, and Ken Webster from Ole Miss. And we know that Colbert was at Houston's pro day, Notre Dame's pro day, and they sent Tom Bradley to Penn State. So some names that do fit show up on this list.
Yeah, I think Julian Love is the guy that sticks out the most of these five that you put together here. Now, Isaiah Johnson, I dug a little bit deeper into his tape on Monday night there. Another converted wide receiver, but to me, his transition, such as a Justin Lane, another guy that converted from wide receiver, it looks like Lane's went a lot smoother. Isaiah Johnson just looks very, very raw, more of a gambler type, very untechnique sound in my opinion. There, he got his hands on a few balls. Look, he probably should have had more interceptions than what did he have? 4.
Two of each of the last 2 years.
Right, he probably should have had more than 4 interceptions total in his 2 seasons at Houston. There, you definitely see some of that the ability to break forward or coming out of cuts on tape. You see that makeup speed, that 40 time of his at 440. It's easy to pick that out, unfortunately, on plays where he's beat over the top, but he gets there and makes the pass break up there. So the arm length, I think you see that there with Johnson as well too, and obviously the overall the length on him. He's got that kind of that clunky feel to him though. I couldn't help but kind of think of Brian Allen, the Steelers' other kind of longer, bigger corner on their roster, who was also kind of a conversion, if you will.
Yeah, you're probably right about Lane versus Johnson in that regard, but I think Johnson's probably the more upside guy, probably more athletic. I think easily the better athlete of the two, and I don't know if he shows the stiffness that Justin Lane does. I see on tape with Justin Lane, I see a guy with average speed and stiff hips, and to me that's kind of a scary combination. Now, there are traits I like about Justin Lane, but I think if you're looking for that flyer and that kind of high upside pick, I think I might rather go Isaiah Johnson than I would Justin Lane.
Wow. I mean, you're a little bit harder on Justin Lane than I am.
Well, I mean, you tell me. Average speed and tight hips. Are you going to play man coverage that way? I think you're rolling the dice.
I think he can. I think he can do it from what I've seen.
You think he has tight hips?
Not as tight as you. No.
What was that 3-cone? That 3-cone wasn't too pretty.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the one thing I think that kept him out of the category, right?
Yeah, it was. I don't know the number. I just have that it's listed. Let me pull it up here. But I see a guy that has tightness, and that's because he's a taller guy and he pops up, and that's natural for the position. But I think when you couple that with roughly when he run 4.5, I think he ran, which isn't terrible. But when you have tight hips and being a play man heavy scheme, it becomes an issue for me.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't see that 6'9" as much on the tape as you do. I guess.
I'll have to show you some clips. I see too much tightness for my liking. He's great at the catch point. He's physical. There's some talent, but I worry about that combination.
All right. Some other guys that just missed the list, probably not overly surprising here. Michael Jackson, who a guy I had kind of later in I think my most recent mock draft out of Miami, really kind of fits what the Steelers do. Another guy, now he's a guy I think what was his 3-cone time?
It was like 7.12. Which
yeah.
Is really bad.
Now that, in my opinion, I you can see the tightness with him.
Mm-hmm.
At least I can. A lot more with him than I can Justin Lane.
Okay. But you're also spending the later round pick on it. I mean, if I could get Lane in like the 5th, that'd be fantastic, but he's going to go a lot higher than that. So look at the investment based on his traits is what concerns me the most about Justin Lane. Because if you're getting Lane, at best it's costing you 52, and that's too rich for my blood.
All right, David Long, kid out of Michigan, missed it by arm length there. What was his arm length?
I shouldn't have closed out of the combine results. I think it was like 30.5 though, so he missed it by like ½ inch.
All right, what about the top cornerbacks that didn't make the list?
Byron Murphy missed an arm length because he's got pretty stubby arms, and he didn't test in the short shuttle in the 3-cone, so we didn't have data for that. A lot of these guys miss because they don't test and stuff. That's why
we have that from his pro day though.
Oh, I don't use pro.
Right, but people keep saying, well, Byron Murphy didn't. One of the arguments I keep hearing is, well, he didn't do much of his pro day, so there's no reason for Kevin Colbert to go there. Well, he did. He ran both of his shuttles and he ran his 3-cone, and I think he did a little bit of the drills.
Where did you get? I didn't see that information anywhere. I don't. What were his times?
Rob Rang has them. In fact, I put him in that. I think I put him in that post I did. A link to that post the other day that I did on Byron Murphy.
Okay, because Pauline said he didn't do any of the positional drills, and even if he did do the short shuttle, I don't think Colbert and Tomlin have to fly out to watch the guy do 4 seconds of a short shuttle.
Right. A lot of them don't do a lot when it comes to when it comes to cornerback drills anyway, So, you're going there to see more than just that too. You're going there to see how he interacts with other players. You're going there possibly to meet his family and all too. So there's more than just Kevin Colbert going to a pro day to watch a kid go through drills.
No, I know, and that's the bigger point of the pro day is less about the drills and more about kind of everything else. But that's why you can also bring him in for a pre-draft visit, and you can see how he interacts with people. And I don't know, like I said, when he's not testing, whenever you're bringing in pre-draft visitors, I understand why they didn't send those guys. To me,
it sounds like we're making up we're making up excuses for why he's not matching some of these things that normally we point to.
Well, they brought him in for a visit, so they clearly like him, right? I mean, we have to agree on that. No?
Or down the list. I mean, look, they've brought in several top corners in the past and obviously didn't draft them, Well,
but it doesn't mean they didn't like him. You can only draft one guy. I mean, you're not going to draft one of DeAndre Baker or Byron Murphy at best. You're going to draft one of them. So they like them both, though. I mean, I get why they didn't go to Washington's pro day. And they brought him in, and it used to be that first-round picks would come in for pre-draft visits. So that puts him on the board for me. And I know it puts him on the board for you, so I don't know what the point is.
Right. I mean, look, he's on the board. I'm just trying to, people are building in this excuse. Well, he did. Well, why they didn't go to the pro day is what
he didn't do positional drills though. I've seen no evidence he's done a positional.
All right.
Drills.
Well, there's some photos out there of him doing more, and video. I think of him doing a little bit more. I
saw the tweet that you had, and all he did was just kind of mess around with a teammate and kind of go through a back pedal and. They didn't look like a drill to me. There was nobody putting him through a drill.
Okay.
I didn't see a coach.
And maybe he didn't, but he did do his shuttles and he did do his 3-cone.
What were his times? I mean, not that they're going to be included for my study, but I am just genuinely curious.
Keep talking here and all.
So I know I know he didn't run the 40, and that'll be another point I'm sure we're going to talk about. Is that 4.55? And I think if you want to knock Byron Murphy, I think the overall athletic profile is a valid point. He's not the most sparky corner, as you would say, so I'm sure that's going to be one of the biggest sticking points of Byron Murphy is can he play outside corner, or is he going to be a permanent nickel guy?
All right, he at his pro day 4.1420.
Okay.
6.833 cone.
Okay, so if I was using the pro day data, he would have fit both of those things for my study. He just would have been missing arm length unless he went go gadget arms.
And 11.25 60-yard shuttle.
Well. Good. I'm glad. I'm surprised he even ran the shuttle like that. But
why didn't he? Why wouldn't he if he had taken the opportunity to rerun that 40?
Yeah, I would have. But I don't know.
Are you concerned that you wouldn't maybe have ran it worse? I don't know. But
it was a slow track. I don't know. Taylor Rapp ran poorly. Is that a slow environment up in Washington? Maybe?
You got me.
Yeah, it's a good question though.
But I mean, that's one of the questions I would, if I'm bringing him in, or if I was at that pro day, I want to know why. You're a competitor, right? Why wouldn't you run that 40 again? Look, 40's not the end all. There's some great cornerbacks in the NFL that have not run, who have run higher than 4.5. It's obviously not the end all do all, but. I mean, make no mistake, and I posted this way back at the Combine, was going on, you don't see a long list of cornerbacks drafted in the first round that run the kind of 40s that Byron Murphy ran. And Baker ran. Why is that?
Because it's a man-heavy world, and you got to have speed to play in man coverage, and you got to draft top athletes. And if there's a deficiency there, then there's going to be a question mark there.
Now Murphy is still that 20-yard shuttle three cone time. Aside, he's not the sparkiest of individuals, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I said that when I was vamping. Yeah, he tested pretty average. Let's be honest about it.
Now, when you turn on the tape with him, you do see why he's considered one of the better corners in this class. His ability to process, his ability to kind of bait and play off a quarterback's eyes and break on the ball. You see a lot of reasons why he is one of the top corners in this class. However, I ought to put that on a T-shirt, right?
Feels like you start charging for that.
Man, when you read all these write-ups on Murphy, it's almost apologetic. Well, he played a lot of off coverage, but he played some man. He played some man too. Let me tell you this: when you throw on his tape, you see a lot of the off man. You see a lot of the bail. Mm-hmm. Okay, you see him a ton with his eyes looking back at the quarterback. A ton. Am I correct?
Yeah, it felt like Pete Carroll was running. From Seattle was running Washington's offense. A lot of cover three, a lot of bail technique. Yeah, no doubt about it.
You do not see him jamming a lot of guys at the line of scrimmage. Am I correct?
Correct. I don't think you have to, though. It's not the worst thing. You can still play good man coverage even if you're not, Mel Blunting it off the line.
Right, but you don't see a lot of mirror either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a lot off. I think man coverage, in my scouting report, I'm rereading it, was an area that he's got to work on. And playing in contested situations and playing at the catch point in man coverage was an area I think he's got to improve on. That's what I had in my scouting report.
Now, here's the other drawback on him, too. And this is the thing. Throw out the whole Kevin Colbert wasn't at his pro day. The Steelers can't draft him. Okay. Mm-hmm. That lack of game experience, I think, is the most damning thing when it comes to a guy like Byron Murphy potentially.
And this is where we disagree. But go ahead. I'll let you finish.
Potentially being a first-round draft pick here. He only played in 20 total games. Now, he did start all 20 of those. Mm-hmm. But only 20 games there. I forget the snap total count with him, but obviously not all those snaps were against the pass. Is there enough on tape? Is there enough experience? And look, another thing too, he didn't play a lot against a lot of top competition in those 2 years at Washington, and to be kind of directed to the point when it comes to, or specific when it comes to Murphy, he only played 6 games in 2017, 3 I think at the beginning of the season, 3 at the end of the season due to a fractured metatarsal, I think, a broken bone in his foot. Now obviously he played last year and played the entire slate there, but you still name the tough competition that he went up against, and really all you come away with is, I think, in Tillery, who by the way was a good friend of his back from high school days there. Those two know each other quite a bit there. But outside of that and ranked teams, I mean, he played Penn State in a bowl game in 2017 and then Ohio State I think last year in a bowl game. Where's the competition that he faced on top of it? So my biggest, where I think the biggest concern, or where I'll be most surprised if Byron Murphy is the pick, is the whole lack of experience and position there. And quite honestly, we talked about, look, you see a lot of the off coverage and all on him. Where is the tape? Where is the huge reel of tape of him, playing manning up on some of these guys?
Well, I think that point's valid. I think the idea about the experience doesn't bother me one bit for several reasons. One is that he's got more starting experience than Lawrence Timmons did, than TJ Watt did. Yes, less games played overall, but if you're picking up a game because you played on special teams your freshman year, that doesn't really move the needle for me at all. It doesn't move the needle for me at all. This is a team that loves underclassmen, loves young players. They've done it, 7 of the last 9 draft picks. They've drafted underclassmen, yes, with more starting experience, but still, when it comes down to younger guys with less experience inherently versus seniors, they go with the younger guy. So with Byron Murphy, go with the younger guy. Checks that box for me. And then finally, the dude's a redshirt sophomore. Even if he hadn't broken his foot and played in every game in his Washington career, I think he would have played 26 in total, which would I think had him the least amount of games than anybody on that list. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dave. So, he's a redshirt sophomore. They're inherently not going to play that much. And, you say the Steelers haven't drafted those guys that haven't played that much. How many redshirt sophomores are in each draft class? Do you know the answer? I mean,
not many, obviously, right?
All right. There's been I did the math for the last 3 years of available data. There's been 26 redshirt sophomores in the last 3 draft classes total. If you eliminate the guys that were drafted ahead of Pittsburgh, which there have been 8 of those, and you eliminate the UDFAs, the guys that just made terrible decisions by coming out early, there were 9 redshirt sophomores that have been drafted, either, basically been drafted not ahead of Pittsburgh. That's 9. It's 2% of all draft picks the last 3 years are sophomores. So it's not an issue of, has he not played enough games? It's just an issue of there aren't many redshirt sophomores that come out, and that's just a numbers thing, a reality thing. So the lack of starting experience, no issue for me one bit.
All right, but overall, he does not check a lot of the boxes.
Well,
it sounds like it sounds like we're kind of making excuses now.
No,
now for him.
I don't
look.
know.
I don't hate this kid. I just think with those short arms, AQ Shipley thinks Byron Murphy has short arms.
Cam Sutton had 30 inches. I mean, they drafted Cam Sutton 2 years ago with 30 inches.
Yeah, but where did they draft him at?
Well, it's not. They're not going to not draft the first round corner because he has 30-inch arms, and then draft one in like the third. It's a threshold thing. Either you have the arm length that they require, or you don't. And they're not going to draft one in the third, and then not. They're not going to draft one in the third, and then not draft one in the first. Like, what boxes is he not checking? Is my question to you.
Just the experience, the shorter arms, the 40.
The experience doesn't matter. They draft underclassmen. T.J. Watt started 14 games. He barely played. He played
27 though. You got the tape on him, though.
On special teams, running down a kick because he gets the game counted for that. Does that matter?
I think to some degree. I mean, look, we don't know what Byron Murphy can do on special teams. That's for damn sure.
Well, I don't know. I mean, probably not. I think he has a trait. It doesn't matter. The T.J. Watt running down a kick is not moving the needle. It's not convincing you to draft him just because you get that game tally. What does that do? So the games thing doesn't matter. He's a redshirt sophomore. There aren't redshirt sophomores in drafts. It just doesn't happen.
I think one of the most concerning things with him is the lack. If he had been more of a press guy, where we have more tape on him of him playing man in some press situations there, something he's going to have to do in Pittsburgh, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, you want to draft a guy that you think has the ability to do a certain trait, but you don't know for sure. People are saying, too, well, you can just throw him inside as well, too. Where's the tape on him on inside?
Well, I think he has the traits to kick inside. I think that's
right,
possible.
But where's the tape on it?
No, there's not any tape. He's an outside corner, but it doesn't mean that he can't go inside. We've seen a lot of these guys do it before. It's a projection. Can he play inside? I think he has the traits to. And I think it's a valid point about him not playing a lot of press man, not a lot of tight man coverage, but that's not a box for me. I mean, we have no box to categorize all those players into that stuff. So I'm not sure what boxes he's missing outside of having some shorter arms, and I don't know what else. I mean, you tell me.
Not a great 40,
But it's not outside the box. Our box is he's on the line, but it's and I do think is that one reason why he tested more poorly was because he added a bunch of weight. He was listed at 175 at Washington. I think he weighed in the 190s at the Combine. That may have hurt him to some degree. I'm not 100% sure. So I think that's got to be at least taken into consideration. But he's not outside that box either. So he's still fitting in it athletically.
All right. Well, I guess it comes down to this. I will be a lot more surprised than you will if Murphy's the pick.
So what corner, if they take a corner, because they've shown a surprising amount of interest in corner, maybe, if you could argue that. What corner are they taking?
I'm thinking it's going to be somebody that we might feel like would be a little bit of a reach.
Like?
Look, Justin Lane would probably be the only guy I think that kind of fits in that, you know.
You would say no on DeAndre Baker just because of the age?
Uh, yeah.
Yeah, but they brought him in.
Sure.
I mean, they're bad.
But they have. I mean, they want to see. Maybe they want to see how these guys be able to have a profile of add to their profile kit of what top cornerbacks look like and smell like, and that kind of thing.
Well, if he's on that list of top cornerbacks and they deliberately don't draft him, then I don't know. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but I guess that kind of jives the way this team's drafted the position.
To me, with the way this team has drafted cornerbacks in the past, it really seems. Why would you go for more of a projection on a guy like Murphy?
Yeah, I mean that's fair. But with the way they've drafted it, where they were one underclassmen, and this is a seemingly high character guy, hard worker. I think his freshman year, he redshirted. Remember, he did redshirt his freshman year, so he has 3 years of college. He's been in 3 years in college, 2 years playing. He won the weight room award, so he's been a proven guy with his work ethic. But are we giving Baker enough love? I mean, I know there's the age thing. I know he's not the greatest athlete, but talk about battle-tested SEC corners. I mean, this is your dude.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, he definitely made a lot of plays at Georgia. I've got the full contextualization up on him. Obviously the 40 time with him is another concern, as is the age.
Sure, it is.
Because he's not. He doesn't come off on tape as the sparkiest of dudes.
No, he's definitely not. He ran 4.52. He's not. He's an average-ish to above-average athlete. But you're talking about guys that played man coverage, played tough matchups. Again, battle-tested, didn't just played really well. I mean, quarterbacks did not throw his way when they did. They didn't complete passes. Maybe we got to give a little bit more love to DeAndre Baker.
And once again, I don't hate Byron Murphy. It's just there's certain aspects that I just don't see on tape. Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, everything's a projection. I mean, the whole draft is a projection thing.
Right, but you would like to have more to project off of.
Yeah, it'd be nice, but sometimes you're not going to get everything. The way the college game goes, you're not always going to get a ton of press man against spread offenses. Like it's not that common. So I get it.
And he just really overall he wasn't thrown at very much either.
Well, that's a good. And he picked off 7 passes though, so he's got the playmaking, he's got physicality, he's got a weight room work ethic. He's got the age. I think the fact that he's young works in his favor, not against him. He's an aggressive guy. I think whenever he does press, I think he does it pretty well. I think again there's issues at the catch point and man coverage he's got to work on. But I think he is a better athlete than the way that he tested. Not significantly so, but better.
Who was the corner that came out of Clemson a few years ago that nobody ever threw about? He for a long time. DraftNix had him first round guy. Mac. What was his name? The Clemson.
Not ringing a bell.
Just a couple years ago, I think he landed. Who did he land with? Minnesota. I'm drawing a blank on who he is, but I kind of get that feel. With
is he a bigger guy?
No, I think he's 5'10", 5'11".
Do you know what you do? Have any idea on a year?
Just a couple of years ago, Alex. I'm drawing a blank
right. I'm trying to look up
on him. It went in the second or third
Mackensie
round.
Alexander.
Yeah, Mackensie Alexander. That's it.
Yeah, that's a good comp. And I think he was a redshirt sophomore too. Actually, I'm pretty sure.
Am I wrong? I mean, it feels like he's a good comp, right?
I don't remember watching Mackensie Alexander too much. He was a redshirt sophomore. No interceptions, though, in his 2 years. Remember that being the thing with him. Why didn't he ever pick off a pass? Because they didn't throw to him, I guess. But Murphy does have
right. And I remember going through the tape with him and because specifically to look at targeted times he was targeted, and he wasn't targeted overall. Mm-hmm. And Murphy...
It's not a bad comp.
Murphy, let's see, 62 targets... what I have him down for last year. 30 completions.
Yeah. No, I mean, do you consider Byron Murphy a first-round talent?
Very borderline. I obviously would...
sound like no, and definitely not the 20.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'd like him better in the second round.
Are there any corners you're saying in the first round? This is a first-round corner.
I'm not a fan of Greedy, maybe, but I mean, once again, you're dealing with inexperience. But at least he showed more on tape of the man in the press.
So it feels like Greedy or bust to you in terms of first-round corners.
Yeah, to me.
Yeah. I think I consider all three. I think I consider Murphy, Baker, and Greedy as first-round guys. I think I'm higher across the board on this cornerback class.
I mean, obviously, neither one of us have Rock Ya-Sin in there.
Yeah.
I mean, how big a surprise would it be if a guy like Lane sneaks in there?
To 20 or just overall?
Just overall in the first round.
I mean, it's not going to floor me. I get it. I'm not in favor of it. I don't view him as a first-round guy. I probably don't view him as a second-round guy. But wouldn't shock me.
And really depending on who you ask. I mean, Julian Love is another guy. Boy, you want to talk about one that checks some boxes for the Steelers. He's it. I mean, how surprised would you be if he, was kind of a reach in there? Yeah, I'd be
pretty surprised at 20-52 though if he's there, and they haven't taken a corner in the first. Then I think he's squarely in play.
But look, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. I'm just not as big on Murphy as most are, especially the first round pick goes. So.
All right, fair enough. I just the games, the experience stuff doesn't matter to me. Redshirt sophomores are unicorns, and I don't want to use that against them just on the sheer fact that there's 9 guys they could have drafted the last 3 years, redshirt sophomores.
All right, that was our little conversation. How surprised will you be if both Baker and Murphy are not drafted in the first round?
I'm not going to be surprised by basically anything that happens in this cornerback group because it's such a mess. There's so many projections. You talk to 5 different people. They're going to tell you 5 different things about who their top corner is or who they like and who they don't like. So, honestly, I'm not going to be surprised by anything.
So, I mean, you're admitting that Murphy might not be the slam dunk guy that most people have, right?
I never said he was a slam dunk. I'm not sure if people consider him to be a slam dunk. I think they're just looking at secondary options if Devin Bush is not there, and he's one of the more likely candidates.
What do you think about this overall class of cornerbacks?
It's kind of a mess. I mean, there are guys I like. I think it's got some good depth. I don't think it's super top-heavy. It clearly doesn't have that number one clear-cut guy because you're talking about potentially the first corner going off the board at 20. I don't know if that's really going to end up happening in reality, but it's got to have your flavor. It's got to have your guy. And there is no elite prospect. There are some good ones, but definitely not that great, no doubt kind of dude.
To reiterate, one of the biggest concerns I have about Murphy is the fact that, boy, he sure did spend a lot of time backpedaling with his eyes in the backfield.
Yeah. But, I mean, they play off cover. They play off-man coverage. It doesn't have to mean that he's playing zone in those situations. And I think he does some really good work in off coverage.
Yeah, I do too. Like I said at the top, there are aspects of his game when playing off where you see, okay, I get why he's considered one of the top in this class. I think it's just the other stuff that's not there on tape that concerns me the most.
I mean, not to get into this topic too much, we'll probably save it right before the draft. But if Bush isn't there, I mean, who are you considering for that 20 spot?
Man, it
feels tough.
It is tough, and you would think that as high as 20 is that it wouldn't be this tough.
Yeah.
But look, people always seem to discount the amount of quarterbacks that are going to go in the first round, right? I mean, even this is not a great quarterback class. I think we'll both agree on that, right?
Yep.
But people, if you don't have one, you got to go fishing for one. Like it or not, however bad the group is, you got to take your shot at it. So, 3, how many are going to go in the top 20? 3?
Even 4. I mean, Haskins,
but
Locke,
we're pretty sure at least 3, right? Or
yeah, I can safely say 3. Yeah.
Okay, so if you have 3 and you pick 20th overall. How many more spots need to be filled in there? I mean, you
17.
need to get through 19 total picks before it's your pick,
16,
right?
Yeah. So 16.
So 16 other picks, and we're pretty sure Bosa is going to be in there, right?
Yeah, I mean, we can rattle. Are we rattling off all the guys?
Yeah.
Be top 10.
We can kind of rattle off the top 10 here, right?
Yeah, you got Bosa,
you got
Quentin Williams, Ed Oliver.
You think Ed Oliver is a slam dunk?
Yeah, I think we'll go top 10, top 15.
All right, Josh Allen out of Kentucky, right?
Yeah, I think Brian Burns is pretty close to a slam dunk.
What about Jonah Williams, a top tackle in this year's class? He's got to go in the top 20.
I think so, but I could see one of the tackles going.
Okay,
give
give me Dillard or Williams. All right. So how many have we burned off the list there?
I was supposed to keep track.
All right. Bosa, Williams, Allen, one of the tackles, Ed Oliver. You said
and
Burns.
Yeah.
7. That's 7. Devin White probably, right?
Yeah, Devin White. That's 8.
That's 8. We already add our 3 quarterbacks to that. We're 11.
It's 11.
We got 5. We got 5 more.
Kids.
5 more. Christian Wilkins probably going to go, right?
Yeah, Wilkins, sure.
How convinced are you, about Devin Bush? And what about where does Hawkinson? It's cheap.
Hawkinson.
Hawkinson, you would think has a good chance of going in the top 20.
Say Metcalf, probably still going to go top 20.
Yeah, but there's probably going to be a wide receiver or 2.
Yeah.
In
there.
Metcalf. So is there an opportunity that a guy like Bush falls? Everybody keeps saying Bush ain't going to make it past Cincinnati. What if he does?
Yeah, I still worry about Denver. I worry about the Giants. Most teams probably could use a guy like Devin Bush.
I guess
it's possible. I'm saying it's possible.
And look, like it or not, I think Greedy's going to go in the top 19 picks.
Mm-hmm.
Who's your top corner? Is Greedy your top corner or no?
I haven't made my final list yet. I've gone back and forth. I think Greedy's going to probably still stay on top, though.
I think Greedy's my top one in this class. So I think he goes in the top. Look, will Noah Fant go in the top 20? I don't think he should.
Well, Willie's what you were asking.
Yeah,
I think he goes somewhere between 21 and 32.
I wouldn't be surprised if Fant falls out of the first round. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I don't see it on tape. I don't see it on tape like other people saying they see it on tape. I mean, he can big play for you, but where the contested catches at? Where are the plays down the field for him? Where's the yards after catch for him when not wide open? I mean, look at his big plays. He was wide open.
Mm-hmm. I understand
that kind of thing there. I mean, you're gonna have are you gonna have a top center or guard go somewhere in that top 19? Are you telling me there's only going to be one offensive lineman taken in the first 19 picks?
Well, what other lineman are you putting in there?
I mean,
am I missing somebody obvious?
The center, who is it? Bradbury?
Yeah, he's not going to go that high, I don't think. I mean, I can't rule anything out, but he's not projected to go top 20.
What are you doing, Marquise Brown?
Oh, yeah, Hollywood probably going to. It sounds like he's going to go. But Montez Sweat. Forgot about Montez Sweat.
Yeah, well, I guess the whole question with him is the whole medical, right?
No, his medical's fine.
I mean, wasn't he the one that he had to get with the heart that had to get checked on that?
They cleared him. He's fine.
I mean, if that gets checked out, you think he's going, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. Rashawn Gary. I mean, I know it's kind of. I mean, he could slip, and that's an interesting name to talk about. But I think most people believe he's going to go top 20. So that's 13 plus the quarterbacks get you 16.
All right, so we're there.
No, we're still 3 short. We're at 16 total, with including quarterbacks. But you get the point here. We don't have to.
Well, I mean, I think look, you ask who. Obviously, if Devin Bush falls, which I still think there's an outside shot at that.
I do too. For the record, I still think it's possible. I just don't think it's likely.
All right.
Like Rashaan Evans last year.
All right, if people keep wanting to say, well, what if Bush and White aren't there? Okay, let's go that way. I mean, Hawkinson, we both probably are in the boat that we don't think he's going to be there. But I mean, if he is, do you take him? I mean, is he that higher rated on everybody's board that you think, well, is this a David DeCastro situation where we didn't expect him to fall? Yeah,
I think it's a really compelling case to do it. And I wouldn't be mad about it, even if tight end's not the craziest thing that I'm looking to address in round 1.
I mean, if the Steelers draft a tight end, it's him. I just don't think it's going to be Noah Fant.
I agree.
With them, to me, it's Hawkinson and then everybody else after that. All right.
Mm-hmm.
After that, I mean, they're not going to take Josh Jacobs in the first round, right? 20 overall.
No, but the way I've been looking at these running backs, I don't know, man.
So the name that keeps popping back up in here is Cleveland Farrell.
I know, but I know it was at the pro day, but it's just that's the only thing. Like it's the only thing we have right now is that pro day. And that is important, but
people keep saying, "Well, he don't drop." Well, he does drop.
Yeah,
he did drop. He might not drop as much as what you'd like to have seen on tape, but he did drop.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we talked about the biggest thing on him is maybe his ability to turn the corner. But in today's NFL, as quick as they get the ball out, how would you rather your guy be able to run over a tackle or run inside of a tackle or run around a tackle?
Yeah, no, still turning the corner is important, but I think he's got the traits to overcome that. The hand use, the inside game, and the length that helps him create space when he's trying to turn the edge.
I think, and plus when you look at underclassmen and character and production against the run and need, I mean, I don't see how you can't have Clelin Ferrell circled.
Yeah, oh yeah, he circles for me. I guess I'm getting nervous at the altar because I was standing for him a couple weeks ago. Now I'm getting nervous committing to it.
All right, well, look at AJ Brown out of Ole Miss too is another guy. I mean, is that a guy? I mean, that's a guy that probably deserves to go in the first 19 picks, right?
I think people consider him probably a late first rounder, but it's a good name. I think they would like him, but what boxes is he checking that tells you that is the tough part.
Now, if you get outside of that, and then you get into, let's assume Greedy's gone, then yeah, I mean, Murphy, more than likely Murphy going to be on the board, right?
Yeah, I think a good shot he's there.
So, I mean, you're going to have, who outside of the top, the Steelers have done it before, someone that not in, let's say, the top consensus 35 or whatnot, that they go after. I mean, who outside of that, those kind of, and look, there's no set, there's no list that we all go to and say, well, there's a top 35 right there. But I tell you, I do like the look at Gil Brandt's top 150. I think if anybody's good at naming a top 50 players, it's Gil Brandt. I think if anybody's got the pulse on organizations around the league and players in general, still, it's old man Gil Brandt. I think if you go back and look at his track record of players he listed in the top 50 to where they end up being drafted, he's got a damn good track record in that. So who outside of, let's say, the top, our own personal top 35 or 40 players would the Steelers be interested in? I think Justin Lane has to be on that list.
Yeah, you can put Lane on that list. I'd be very much against it at 20. But, I mean, I guess it's a good segue into my mock draft for that I posted yesterday. And I had Devin Bush still round 1, which no surprise and really doesn't need much of an explanation there. But for my others considered, I put Byron Murphy, Clelin Ferrell, and then 2 names I could throw at you and take your temperature on. N'Keal Harry from Arizona State and Jerry Tillery from Notre Dame.
Yeah, man.
Now, I know Harry doesn't match the pro day stuff, but Darryl Drake put him through a pretty heavy workout. I think they like him, and then Tillery, of course, checks basically all those boxes that Ferrell does.
Yeah, I would think there might be a better. I don't hate N'Keal Harry. He's another one of those guys I think looks better in the second round.
Yeah, I do too, but I don't think he's going to get there at 52. I think if you're Pittsburgh, if you like him that much, you're saying he's not going to get to 52. If we want him, we got to take him now.
I mean, I guess you talk about guys that they would reach for, or in our opinion, reach for. Obviously, it's not a reach for them because Kevin Colbert will tell us he's a guy that we like, guy that we wanted, blah blah blah. Well,
what about Tillery then? Because I think Harry is certainly stretching it a little bit, but Tillery makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. And the thing that I worry the most about him is kind of the things I read about kind of his character. Whether or not he wants it or, just the little things floating around that we'll never be able to confirm.
Yeah, he played through that torn labrum last year, though. I don't know exactly where those reports come from, but I bet you people look at his effort last year or his play and say, oh, he's dogging it, but I think he's just playing hurt, at least last year.
Yeah, the things that I think concern me the most with him are the things that we have no idea about.
Sure, yeah. And what about Chase Winovich? I mean, he's still there.
Yeah, but the whole age, it's just a whole age thing, and the fact that he didn't stand up is the thing that is hardest to get past with him. Like I said, I mean, that guy is distracting as hell when you're trying to watch Michigan tape.
Well, listen, your question was who are the reaches? And
sure.
I'm telling you the reaches.
Right, and I agree. I mean, Winovich would be a guy that we're going, that one gif where that guy turns around and raises his eyes and says, damn, I mean, you can kind of see it, but I mean, it would be a surprise, I think, because of age and all. I mean, the tape's there.
Yeah. Well, who else do you have? You mentioned Lane. Is that kind of the other name you're circling?
I think Winovich. What about Savage? I mean, is that a guy?
Yeah. It feels like an Edmonds Davis hybrid clone thing.
I mean, the only thing is they weren't Colbert and Tomlin weren't at that Maryland Pro Day, right? But I mean,
but pre-draft visits,
right?
So he could still be on the board theoretically for 20. Yeah, it's good. I mean, I put him in the segue in my mock. He's at 52 for me, and he's probably going to stay there. To be perfectly honest with you, I think they really like Arnold Savage.
God, I will throw up at Mac Wilson. I mean, I don't think you got to put Mac Wilson on the list, I guess, huh? I mean, Pro Day, blah blah blah, but God, I'll throw up if that's the selection.
Well, we'll get into this probably right before the draft to kind of really make our final predictions and declarations. But to go through my mock here, again, Bush in the first, Savage in the second. Pretty conventional stuff there, but again, makes a lot of sense. Round 3, again, sticking with Miles Boykin for now. I put him a little bit higher at 66 overall, but maybe that's considered a reach. But when they like a guy...
Do you think you have him ranked a little bit too high?
I think he's anywhere between 66 and maybe he would drop to 122 in round 4. That would surprise me, though. To be perfectly honest, I'm a little cheeky with this mock draft. The reason why I put Boykin at 66, not 83, was I didn't want to have 3 defensive players in a row, then 3 offensive players in a row. So I flipped 66 and 83. That's why I did that. I may be overvaluing him a little bit. But
what do you like about Boykin that Sills doesn't give you?
The upside. I think he's got bigger playability. I think that maybe Sills is closer to being maxed out than certainly where Boykin's at, so I think that's the big thing for me. And I think just probably catch radius to some extent and making those high degree difficulty catches and just playing with a bad quarterback. Imagine going from, who was it, Wimbrook, whatever his name was at Notre Dame, to Big Ben. I mean, man, imagine what Boykin's going to do with a good quarterback.
I don't know. Sills has some, Sills has the contested catches there.
Yeah, I know he does. I don't know. I've looked at Boykin more than I've looked at Sills. I think athletically, it's the biggest thing. Boykin tested like a freak. Sills tested pretty average, right?
Yeah.
And now Sills hit every box. I'm not trying to deny that. I mean, he fits and he tested well, but Boykin tested just stupid off the charts. And athletically, there's a big difference between those two guys.
Would Eric McCoy at any way be in the play for? I just want to throw it out there. Well, I mean, you want to throw it just because of the position, right? I mean, his tape's not. I mean, his tape's fine, right?
It's about how you can play this guy in 3 years. He's gonna be sitting on your bench.
I know, but I mean, he can play some guard.
Has he played guard before?
I think he's played some guard. Yeah.
I haven't looked at his bio. So, but even then, he's not playing this year, and probably not playing next year.
It's got that whole Chiquamo Core feel to it.
There's a reason why they went a third round with a core 4. Third round on, all bets are off. First round, though, I don't know.
I'm just saying, he's a guy that I mean, look, we don't think it's going to be a Nasir Adderley or anybody's school like that, right?
Right.
We think it's going to be Power 5.
I mean, history says almost certainly yes.
Right. All right, continue on with your mock.
Well, speaking of non-Power 5 guys, you're giving me all the great segues today, Dave. 83rd overall, I went corner with all the interest in corner. I think you got to bump that up. Now, I went Isaiah Johnson from Houston, and I knew that when I wrote this, he checked every box. Colbert at his pro day, Brian Allen-like, length, size, upside, and because he's a third-round guy, I don't have to feel compelled to play him right away. He sits this year, he plays special teams, he'll do well there. Potentially next year, get into the lineup or maybe something longer term, but I think Isaiah Johnson is a guy that makes a ton of sense of all the corners they've looked at.
Yeah, and he's a guy, I haven't gone very, very deep with him yet, but I mean, I've gone enough where I've watched 200 plays maybe.
Yeah, so
150, 200 plays.
I know you're not crazy about him, but we're looking at not where he's at now, but where he's going to be 3 years from now, and that's how I view Isaiah Johnson.
Right, I got you.
For round 4, I'm already know I'm going to switch some of these picks for my final mock. But round 4, I know it's a little bit of a reach, but blocking tight ends, we've seen him go higher in the past. Trevin Wesco from West Virginia, big blocking guy, about 6'3.5", 267. At his pro day, tough, physical, just kind of a blue-collar guy. And, You need that replacement for Jesse James, so I think he fits well.
Yeah, why wouldn't you just go Foster? You could probably see Foster, or do you think Foster will be off the board? But I think, as much as I like Foster Moreau, I think people are still kind of overvaluing him a little bit.
Yeah, it's a deep tight end class. I mean, guys could certainly fall. Someone has to fall. I think 122 is definitely the floor for me where I put Foster Moreau. I wanted to put some names that weren't just the pre-draft visitors. I wanted to get some new names into that. I didn't want to get so hyper-focused. And I still think he's going to go higher than that. So I don't know if Wesco's going to make it to my final mock draft, but I like him.
The thing about Wesco, and I like him too, the thing is, too, is you've seen him do some things all over the formation.
Yeah, a little H-backy, but a little shorter than I'd like, but versatile. Now, athletically, receiving, is he going to offer you a whole lot? Not really, but I think he can play day one for rookie tight end.
Yeah, I mean, if you had something happen to, say, Roosevelt Nix or something, he's a guy that come in could give you a little bit of lead blocking too.
Yeah, and I think I'm also thinking six, because you might not have that sixth offensive lineman if a core four is starting. Now you have a second tight end, they can really basically play that small tackle role.
Right. I personally, I view Wesco more as a, I don't know, later fifth, earlier sixth, but I understand what you did there.
No, that's fair. Most people do view him as that. But I look at Will Disley last year, was projected as a 6th-round pick from Washington, and he won the 4th round in Seattle and played well before he got hurt. So it does change things with trying to find those, because there aren't many blocking tight ends. College football blocking tight ends, it's an oxymoron. So you got to get those guys when you can get them. Round 5, Benny Snell, for the reasons I mentioned earlier. Production, bloodlines, size, power, good character, checks all those boxes. Round 6, this is probably one where you could say you got to put him a round or two higher. Jordan Brailsford from Oklahoma State, outside linebacker, pre-draft visit, MVP of the Shrine Game, competing to be a number 3 edge guy, probably going to play special teams in year 1. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I've looked at obviously him from a pass rushing standpoint. Hey, one thing I've yet to do with Jordan Brailsford is look at him more as a run defender.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're just drafting for some upside there. And then I'll read the last 3, and I'll take your temperature on them. I'm going to stay with this pick. I'll be honest right now. This will be in my last mock draft, too, for 192. Matt Gay, the kicker from Utah. I still think they're going to draft a kicker. I think Gay's the one that makes the most sense of the probably 3 draft-eligible kickers, Hebert from Oklahoma, Tracy from LSU, and Gay from Utah. 207, I went with offensive line, Alex Bars from Notre Dame. This guy would have been drafted several rounds higher had he not broke his ankle in 2018. A guy that's tall, almost 6'6", but has played both guard spots and played right tackle. I think he's gotten really good coaching, and a guy that I think has really good value in the late 6th round. And then the 7th round, trying to find those defensive linemen, where they're going to fit. It's hard to find a spot, but I threw a bone at 219 with Armin Watts from Arkansas. It's hard to find those 6'4", 300-plus pound, traditional defensive linemen in this class. There aren't many out there, but Watts is one of them. 7 sacks last year, a 1-year starter for the Razorbacks. He's a stash player. I'm looking to make an impact in 2020.
Yeah, when you go down the weigh-in of the Senior Bowl or the Shrine Game or the Combine in general, and you're looking for a Steelers defensive end, if they're under 6'4" and they're under 280, you got to throw them to the side because it just doesn't fit what you kind of what they look for. Now, if you get one about right at 280 or whatnot, and you kind of look at him, you say, well, can he put on another 19, 20 pounds? And that's a lot, so you try to get those guys a lot closer to the 300 and at least 6'3" and 7/8, borderline of 6'4". That Isaiah Buggs is a guy that doesn't fit perfectly with the measurables, but boy, the kind of production he had, and kind of if you got creative with how you used him on passing downs, maybe that's a guy that the Steelers would have interest in the later rounds. Once again, ideally not the measurable fit, but a guy that you could see probably potentially being worked into the scheme.
Yeah, I think it'd be more nose tackle, though. I think he's got, 31.5-inch arms? That's just really short for that position.
Yeah. He would have to be kind of an interior guy on pass rushing downs.
Yeah, I just finished a study for defensive ends. It's going to go up sometime later this week, and just to kind of tease it, they generally very strong consistency for defensive ends, not kind of nose tackles, but the end 6'4", 290 plus with 33-inch arms is kind of the prototypical guy. And there are very few that fit that mold in this class, unfortunately.
All right, to review your picks, Gay. That makes a lot of sense. And if it's either going to be Gay or probably Tracy in my final mock. If I have a kicker in there, do we know if Danny Smith was at the Utah Pro Day? Have you looked for pictures at the Utah Pro Day?
I did not see him. The only only Steelers personnel member at Utah I saw was Mark Bruner. I did not see Smith out there.
All right. Obviously, they could bring that guy in for a private workout or work him out at campus, and we not even know about it,
Yep.
Alex Bars, I know nothing about. I'll have to watch some tape on him. Watts, I know a little bit about, but haven't studied him all that in depth.
Yep. So that's the mock. I already know some changes I'm going to make, but I think generally it's going to be the same. I've really worked too long really on different mock drafts and trying to figure out how it's going to fit. But yeah, that 20th overall is giving me all kind of fits.
All right, where to now? We're running a little bit long.
Yeah, I think we'll cut some stuff out. Let's just go to some reader emails. Let's hit maybe 3 or 4 and wrap up the show.
All right, Justin Ballard writes in, hey guys, long-time listener, Justin Ballard. With a trivia question I came up with, it's not too hard, but a fun one. The two Steelers with the longest last name and shortest last name both wore the same jersey number. Who are they, and bonus points for the number? Well, my first thing that jumps in my head is Chris Fuamato. I can't
Utu Malafala, something like that.
Malafala and Roosevelt Nix, right? So that would be 45, right? Didn't they both wear 45? Or no?
Yeah. Utu Malafala wore 45. Yeah, that sounds right. That sound really right.
So that's the
does
first.
He provide an?
He keeps us in the dark here. So I would say Fu and Nix would be my answer there. All right, Sean writes in. Dear Dave and Alex, love the site and the pod. Guys, I feel like wide receivers not being talked about nearly enough as a round one possibility. Do you agree? If Devin Bush isn't there, the edge guys really don't seem all that exciting. Boy, I don't know about you, Alex, but I wouldn't mind seeing Farrell in a Steelers uniform or Burns, even though I don't think that's an ideal fit, from a height, weight, length, kind of guy. I mean, I think you can make him work in there anyway. Sean goes on to write, I certainly wouldn't mind a corner like DeAndre Baker if he's there, but why are we not addressing wide receivers a real possibility? I've seen hardly anyone mock a wide receiver to the Steelers in round 1 at pick 20. There is an excellent chance they could pick a first wide receiver in the draft, and there's some extremely intriguing names out there like Paris Campbell. Paris Campbell, I think, is another one that's being overrated, guys. Just me. In Kalahari, I think Alex and I both get that. Yeah, Paris Campbell plays in the slot. Yeah, he does, but he's not a big play guy on top of it. So you bump Juju elsewhere. Well, why are you going to bump? He says you just bump Juju elsewhere. Well, why do you want to bump a guy that's a perfect fit, right, Alex?
Yeah, and then when you put James Washington, so there's a lot of question marks. I mean, receiver, yeah, I get receiver. I mean, I'm surprised by maybe the Steelers' lack of interest in the pre-draft visit process of not bringing in the top receivers, not going to some of the pro days, but just got to give me the name. What name fits? A.J. Brown, Metcalf, Harry, whoever else I'm missing right now, Campbell. They're not fitting as cleanly as they need to in the first round, so that's been the issue.
And I think you've seen, we've talked about it enough. I think for what the Steelers need an X receiver, there's good options after round 1. And round 2. I mean, we talk about Seals, we talk about Boykin, we talk about Thompson, right?
Deebo Samuel, if he would have fallen 52.
Right. I mean, there's going to be some good X-receiver options. He says it's Juju, a mediocre veteran in Moncrief, 2 tiny slot guys, and a potential bust in Washington. Come on, let's wait for Washington to play a few more snaps before we go potential bust with James Washington.
Yeah, again, I get the receiver. It just seems more likely to be in the mid-rounds just based on what they're doing.
David Weiss writes in, gentlemen, listening to episode 99 again, and you mentioned that Colbert and Tomlin did not make the trip to Seattle for Washington's pro day. Dave, are you saying that makes it really hard for you to put Murphy in round 1? Does that change with him coming in for a visit? We all have ideas on what we think the pick should be, but what do the two of you think the Steelers actually went in round 1 and Bush gone and they didn't go to Murphy's pro day? Look, and Dave, we just kind of had to hash that all out a little bit more there. Look, you don't throw Murphy to the side just because they didn't go to the pro day. We just tried to throw all the things, all the Blues Clues into the blender here or into the machine and see what comes out the other side. It's going to be tough still to put Murphy in there, and especially when you kind of look at, as I said, kind of the experience. In my opinion, the playtime experience kind of makes it tough on top of that. But will I throw up my arms in shock if Murphy's the pick? No.
Yeah, for me, he's squarely in there. I'm not saying he's going to be the dude, but there's nothing that tells me he's going to be outside that box of consideration.
All right, so, I mean, I'm not sure where the rest of that was going there. Jared Wolf writes in, David Alex, I love what you guys do for Steelers Nation. Please tell me who the first-round pick will be. If both Devins are gone and it's not Murphy, who is your pick? Jared, I wish we had a better grasp on this, and you would think at 20 overall selection here with as much homework as we do, we would have, it's going to be this or that. Yeah, I don't think we're there. I mean, you can make strong argument for Farrell, and I think we went down some of the names there, right? But, I mean, both Devins are gone and Murphy's not the pick. Who is it?
I've been leaning back towards Baker. I've been thinking about DeAndre Baker a lot lately.
God, I'm going to be.
It's just the only thing that's holding me back. If he was 22, you would say yes.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Yes.
How old is he? Do we even know his age? You said we didn't exactly know his age.
I think we got a better idea here for what. Hold on a minute here. I'll tell you what Dane Brugler said.
I know
Dane Brugler is usually right on the money on this. Yeah. He has him as his birthday 9/4/1996, so he'll turn 23 in September.
That's not bad.
It's not awful. Not awful.
Not bad. I thought if he's better than 24, if he was turning 24, I get it. But yeah, I can see it. If he's from Miami, Florida, they draft those Miami guys.
Let's see. 5'11", even, 193, 32-inch arms, 9-inch hands, 4'5", 240, 9'10" broad jump, vertical at his pro day 31.5, which wasn't. He didn't exactly jump out of the building, did he?
No, it's not very good.
4.27 short shuttle, 6.95 3-cone.
Yeah, not the best.
That's moving the goalpost a little bit, right?
It would be. I think he plays faster on a line on tape. So I know he didn't run the greatest 40 time, but it's not bad, and I think he plays faster on tape.
I wonder how. I mean.
Did he pick off passes? I know he didn't get thrown to a ton.
He had 7 total.
In 3 years?
4 years.
4 years.
4 years.
I know they're going to look for playmakers. They're going to look for guys that produced interceptions, and that's going to be the question.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, unless you have clean kind of takeaways, sometimes though, do interceptions really translates? What translates easier? Big plays from receivers on offense or interceptions by cornerbacks on defense? We're just looking at stats,
I mean,
you
it's probably big plays for offense, but I'm just saying from their perspective. They've talked about splash plays so much. You know how it goes. They talk about something.
It leads to Gerard Holloman. That's what it leads to.
Right, yeah. But I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's what's going to happen.
Can you believe at one time Daniel Jeremiah had Gerard Holloman as a first-round pick?
Yeah, God, those were some dark days. We knew as soon as I turned that card in that was going to go nowhere.
God, you turned that tape on him. Oh, Lord have mercy. I don't know how you make a pick like that. You want to talk about a pick to get and I know it's only a 7th-round pick, and I'm tired. I know people are tired of me of hitting on it, but my Lord, if there's one pick that should never have been made, it's him. Gerald Holloman.
For sure.
I'm
thinking Baker.
Huh?
I'm going back to DeAndre Baker.
Yeah,
I'm thinking DeAndre Baker.
I keep going back to Farrell for some reason. All right. Ethan Gephardt writes in, hey, guys, I'm a long-time listener, first-time emailer. Good deal. Gephardt is how he pronounced his last name. What position do you see Jamal Curtis playing? The X, Y, or Z? He's one of my favorite players in the draft. I think he'd be a good fit. What do you think? Where do you think he goes? What round do you think he goes in?
That Jamal Custis from Syracuse?
Custis, yeah.
Okay.
I think he said Curtis here. He has Curtis in here. That's what threw
me
off. Syracuse. Is he the guy that the outside, big play guy on the outside. I haven't watched a ton of tape on him. Was he the guy that I talked about during the Senior Bowl? Was it? I don't remember.
I don't remember either. He was at the Shrine game, I think. Josh had the report
No,
on
he
him.
was at the Shrine game. That's right. He's the one that had the. He is the one that I told you reminded me of somebody. Who was it?
I don't know. It was a long time ago. We had that conversation.
Yeah. Obviously, we haven't done a lot of work on him.
Yeah, well, we just said I didn't want to report, but looking at his profile, he's going to probably be Z-type, 6'5", 213, not great speed, looking Z-type receiver.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. We had a talk about him.
Did we?
Yeah, we talked about him during the Shrine game. I said he's one guy. Go back if someone goes back to one of them episodes, you're gonna find us talking about him around Shrine Week, I think.
All right, well, maybe I'll go back.
But it's been a long time since that's happened. I can't remember the specifics on him because obviously I haven't done a lot on him. But he's going to be a later round guy, I think, Ethan.
Mm-hmm. Yep, definitely did mid to late day 3.
Let's see here. Phonetics. Kane Verskoren writes in, hello, Dave and Alex. Firstly, thank you both for the contribution to the site so much for the incredible, diligent work you do. This has been the first year I've dived deep into the draft process, and I've learned so much from the heaps of content you put out. Looking to get more involved in all things Steelers draft related, and you two are a wonderful example of how it's supposed to be done, and thank you once again for the hard work. You're welcome. Secondly, the actual question for the podcast. What player or players would you guys go to the mattresses for in this draft, or if you were in the Steelers war room? Any position, any round?
Ooh, it's a very good question. There aren't many.
There's not many of mine too where I'm standing up really.
Deebo Samuel's the first name that comes to mind for me. I'm a big fan of Deebo Samuel. That's the first name that comes to mind. Farrell was someone I would advocate for, not to the extent of Samuel, but someone I really like, someone I think really fits, and we talked about as much as possible. So, yeah, I mean, Deebo's at the top for me.
Guys, I'd go to, and really, I don't think I can say this any year because where they pick and knowing the top 10 guys or whatnot off the board.
Well, you said any position. It doesn't be just first rounders.
Oh.
Anyone that really caught your eye.
I'm intrigued by, obviously, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. You know, it's probably been my crush for a while. I can't stop watching some of the things another Florida kid does, and that's Ja'Kai Polite. I'm really intrigued about what's going to happen with him in this thing. I don't know if I'd go to the mattress as a Steelers representative banging the table for him, though. Yeah. Terry McLaurin is out of Ohio State's another guy. That footwork's just, obviously not a large selection of tape on him, as far as catches go with him. But he's another guy that I can't stop. If I get a chance, I keep going back to watching some highlights on. So I guess, though, to rank them, I think Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is one guy I'd probably be banging the table most for.
Yeah, it's a good one. I like Zach Allen from Boston College, defensive line, just in general. I think he's going to be a really successful player. And then Savage is a guy I've really grown to like, too, Darnell Savage.
Draymond Jones doesn't check a lot of boxes, but his hand usage is fantastic.
Mm-hmm. It's good. It's a good name.
Out of Ohio State. Savage, I guess. Savage is another guy wouldn't mind seeing in the black and gold.
Amani Hooker. Been a big Amani Hooker fan for a while now.
You're probably a little bit higher on him than I am. Look, David Seals is a guy I'm looking forward to watching translate. A lot of these guys I want to know. I want to look 3 years. I want to have the crystal ball on to say, all right, I was kind of high on this guy. Where is he 3 years down the line?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of guy. Once again, is he going to be a guy that I'm banging the table for? No, probably not. All right, Bryce Harrison writes in, Bryce from California, there's been so much negativity surrounding the Steelers this offseason, rightfully so. That being said, what has you guys really excited about the 2019 football team? I think you guys' draft coverage has been some of the best podcasts I've ever heard from Terrible Podcast. Well, thank you for that. Truly awesome. Thank you. I really appreciate your work. Look, hopefully you enjoy some of these in-depth kind of, I don't know, disagreements. I wouldn't call them, I don't know, maybe they are. Not true arguments, just kind of pros and cons on both sides of it. I think that's been really great from Alex and I over the course of this draft season here. Alex, what has you really excited about this 2019 football team?
Man, I get excited about everything, so it's hard to just choose one thing. Just
it's another year, eh?
Yeah. Just to get away from this drama, I'm just excited to get back to football once we get training camp. I mean, that's just it's really exciting in itself. I don't know, man. Just seeing the growth and maturation, guys like Juju and Connor and Watt, and seeing how James Washington can progress, and guys like that. So it's just seeing about the young guys growing and people that you can really vividly remember, at least from my standpoint, really watching and growing from the start of their career throughout it.
Yeah, not having the divas there, is something. Mm-hmm. Obviously you're going to miss the production. Definitely going to miss all those jaw-dropping plays that Antonio Brown makes and all things like that. But, I mean, we're not going to be writing every other week about this or that, I don't think. With Le'Veon Bell missing this and Antonio Brown saying this or doing that kind of thing, I'm excited about not having that aspect of it. I don't think the offense is going to be as bad. I mean, I don't think it's going to be as obviously as explosive as it's been. But, look, I mean, if this team – I'm excited about maybe this defense and special teams being a little bit better and giving the football to the offense on the right side of the 50, more than they did last year. But just the overall, it's another year kind of reason for me to get excited there. I think Kevin Ball writes in, "Hey guys, long time listener, I have 3 questions regarding the upcoming draft. What are some players that have caught your eye as potential late round sleepers? Do you think the draft class will lean more towards offense or defense, specialist or offense? I don't know where he's going with that second question there. I guess he's saying, will the Steelers draft class lean towards more offense than defense, and he considers specialist or as being offense. And number 3, what are some players in the class that just scream Steeler to you, regardless of team that selects them?
Wow, a lot of questions there. I don't know if Ben Roethlisberger, that's the guy I would stand for. Counts as a late round guy. I mean, I think somebody maybe a 4th, 5th round pick, but him. I like Jamal Davis from Akron. I've looked at him some. Maybe play him off ball. Maybe he's not a great fit for Pittsburgh, but I like his tape. For the offense-defense thing, in my mock at least, I had 5 defense, 4 offense, and a specialist. So I guess that's 5 and 5. You're kind of the kickers, the offense. And then guys that scream Steeler, man, that's a good question.
Savage, I think.
Yeah, Zach Allen, I think, going back to him, as I mentioned earlier, guys that scream Steeler. I'd have to go through my list. That's a good. Mike Edwards from Kentucky feels like a Steeler. Foster Moreau, I think, certainly feels like a Steeler.
Oh, yeah, if there's one, Foster Moreau, if there's one guy from wire to wire that you think, man, they love this guy, and this just fits everything that they do. It's probably, and he's not splashy. Yeah. You turn on that highlight tape and saying, what the hell are these guys talking about? But Chase Winovich. I mean,
yeah, Winovich. I think Marone and Winovich are the 2.
Yeah, I think those are the guys that probably the most you go, man, that guy, just screams Steelers right there.
And then even David Sills, I'd throw in there as probably.
Yeah, him too, to some degree there. I think it's going to be split offense, defense, and let's see.
Any late round guys that were caught your eye?
Yeah, not.
I know you're focused on the early guys a lot of the time.
Let's see, Kyle Hermack writes in, with the signing of Pouncey and Foster and the rise of BJ, what are the chances the Steelers take a mid-round 4th, 5th, 6th on offensive linemen? Look, Foster's older, make no mistake about it. Pouncey's got just a couple years left, and BJ is BJ, and BJ, like it or not, is a better guard than he is a center. We still haven't seen a lot of BJ overall play, though. I mean, it's understandable why he got the second-round tender and all. I guess what I'm getting at is I'm not afraid to put a guard/center late in my mock draft.
Yeah, I did the same. I think maybe I'm a little less likely into that considering they just haven't shown a lot of interest. But yeah, I mean, late round guy, certainly possible, 50-50. Circle those Wisconsin Badgers, Ohio State Buckeyes. You got a ton of those guys. They've shown interest in both schools. Those are guys you want to take a hard look at.
Let's see. Second part of his question. Steelers used to love the speedy guy at running back, Rainey and Archer. Yeah, but look how that worked out for a mid-round pick. Any guys that fit that mold for this draft?
Justice Hill, 4th round. I would love that. 4-4 guy, great athlete. I think you're looking short intermediate stuff to try to replace AB. The stuff that he gave you in the screen game, in the quick game, the RPO game. I'd love that with Justice Hill.
Yeah, I could see that. A guy they obviously know a lot about. So
and you mentioned Henderson too, which I think is going to be higher than a mid-round guy, but a guy with a lot of burns.
Yeah, man, he's a guy that Randy Fichtner knows quite a bit about. Let's try to squeeze one more in here. Once again, we asked for all these questions, and apologize if we don't get to all of them here, but we're running into time constraints here for obvious reasons. Hi, David, Alex, Kristen. Looks like Connecticut here. Do you think the Steelers have shifted their defensive philosophy when drafting in the last several years? They have definitely focused more on measurables and pure athletic ability than on production or attitude. Look, they've gone after the production guys, right? I mean, we talked about Holloman and Golson in years past. I mean, they've attacked the stats end of it, the production end of it. I think that it was a change in philosophy from the early 2000 defenses. I think recently, though, they are shifting back to the philosophy of drafting defensive players who love playing football and bring that attitude to the field. Well, I guess you could circle Edmonds and Watt in kind of that classification, right? But, I mean, both Watt had a production.
Yeah, I mean, again, a lot of these guys do have production. I mean, most first-rounders have production. I would say there's probably been 2 picks that they've kind of responded to, and it's not this black and white, of course, but Mike Adams, I think, kind of made them really go with the hearts and smarts thing. They took a chance on the character. And not that he was a bad character guy, but it just didn't work out for a variety of reasons. But I think maybe they went back and reevaluated things from there. And then athletically, after missing on Jarvis Jones, I think it's kind of really pushed him into that sparky direction of going with the great athletes and getting guys that test well. And then not only just response to those guys or any particular point, but whenever Ron Hughes retired, who sadly passed away recently, that guy was so influential and really helped build how the Steelers draft. And I think without his presence, maybe they have gone in a bit of a different direction for better or worse.
You look at Artie Burns, height, weight, speed guy, and had some interceptions there on, some takeaways on tape. But once again, the biggest thing there with him was, man, why was he off the field? Why wasn't he an every down player?
Mm-hmm.
I was one of the main things that initially stuck out to me about Artie Burns. Okay, I get the height, weight, speed, and the statistical box score, but why wasn't he on the field more?
Mm-hmm.
With him. One last one. Caitlin Clark writes in scenario would the Steelers select a cornerback or an edge rusher with the first round pick, which player would see the field more in year one? Well, I think obviously probably edge, right, Alex?
Was it edge or corner? Is that what the question was? Yeah, probably. I mean, they draft a corner, Mike Tomlin has talked about Steven Nelson's versatility. If they drafted, let's say, Baker or Greedy, conventionally an outside guy, could they kick Steven Nelson to the nickel and put that rookie on the outside? I mean, so that's possible, but I think your safer bet is edge. I'll say that. Safer bet's edge.
I would as well. Could the Steelers maintain an efficient offense with Switzer, Rogers as rotational chain movers in the slot position? Well, Switzer really is not that. I mean, Switzer, if there's one thing that both those guys do, it's just run the intermediate routes and probably more so the out routes than the interior routes. However, we have seen Eli Rogers run some nice seam routes, right?
Yeah, I mean, they can, Switzer too. Yeah,
Switzer,
I mean, to some extent.
Switzer actually had a deeper yards per target. I mean, what do they call that stat? depth of target, depth
Okay.
of target number last year than what I thought. There was a string there where he was getting the ball more than 7 yards down the field on targets, which was a bit surprised. So I guess he's asking, can the Steelers maintain an efficient offense? Look, both those guys are not going to be every down players, but they could be worked in to this offense. That's not a huge concern of mine, along with Juju in the slot, right?
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, I agree.
One other thing he says here, quick note. I'm glad Dave T. Thomas mentioned Ty Johnson from Maryland. He is my age and played for a local rival high school team where he dominated with eye-popping athleticism. I'm hoping he succeeds wherever he lands in the NFL. Thank you, Dave and Alex. Love the show. You're welcome. Thanks for writing in, Kalen Clark. All right, with that, I guess we should move on, right? Anything else, Alex?
Nope, that's all.
All right, you can follow me on Twitter at Steelers Depot. You can follow Alex on Twitter at Alex_Kozora. Follow the show at Terrible Podcast. Email the show, theterriblepodcast@gmail.com. If you like what we do and you want to donate to the cause, go to SteelersDepot.com. Hit that donate button upper right navigational bar. And let's see, if you want a ad-free version of the site, go to SteelersDepot.com. Hit ad-free. And for $25, you can have, for 1 calendar year, an ad-free version of SteelersDepot.com. And as always, thanks for listening to the Terrible Podcast with Dave and Alex.